All right, good morning, good evening, good afternoon to those of you out there bored enough to watch this video. Just wanted to touch base with you on a few things. First and foremost, some of the legal battles and things that are going on. So yesterday was the 8th of October, and a case that the board of directors for the Lakeland Darrow Homeowners Association dropped out of because their friend was the defendant in the case, was apparently ruled, it was actually suing for defamation, false light, libel, torturous interference, breach of contract, because, there was things being said publicly about, as some of you know, and as horrible as it is to say, man, it's really bad, that I was a child pervert, pedophile, part of the Stasi, and trying to, something about being infatuated with this person, which, those of you who laugh at that, that's actually the truth. That's what that person was saying. Obviously, hasn't really met or seen my wife before, but in either case, and all kinds of just crazy stuff, calling me an abuser and all kinds of shit. So what happened was that case was filed back, I think, in November. Zach Levine from Wilkin Levine was colluding with the other side, as he's done in the past with other attorneys that we found out. And unfortunately, they then filed something called a SLAPP lawsuit, which is basically when people file lawsuits, and SLAPP's actually not a horrible thing. I apologize here. And the reason why it's not a horrible thing, like anti-SLAPP or slapback is sometimes what it's referred to, is because it really kind of gives people an opportunity, if a lawsuit's being filed against them, just to shut them up, to be very careful with that, because, you can't do that, right? And clearly, when someone's out there calling you those things, you're not doing that because you want to shut up their ability to participate publicly in lawful speech. Being a Marine, it'd be kind of tough to justify doing something like that. So clearly that wasn't the case. But you have 60 days to file this SLAPP motion to the court. You have 60 days from the time it's filed, and Zach resigned on the 57th day. On the 59th day, the attorney for the defendant in this case ended up filing that motion. Now, I didn't know anything about it. Honestly, I don't think many of you know what SLAPP was. So by the time I'd found out about it, it was just maybe a couple months ago. So basically what it does is it forces the court to make a decision one way or the other with regards to the case and the merits of the case, meaning if the judge was to decide that the case was really just brought on to shut somebody up, then the judge could order that case be thrown out completely, and then the plaintiff in this case would have to pay the attorney's fees, mandatory. Okay, if they lose, then the other side has to pay some sort of fees, or I think called sanctions. But anyway, so there was, of course, because of a change of attorney and then not notifications and failure to respond and, bad faith meet and confer conferences, all this kind of crazy shit that was going on. Because, of course, when you have as documented as much evidence as we do, it leaves without saying that, it's a case to move on with and not just, choose a motion to strike or SLAPP, in this case, to end it. Well, Judge Traber, Department U, yesterday decided that she was going to grant that SLAPP motion. So the person who used their public profile and accounts to go on GoFundMe, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Nextdoor, and disparage myself, call me this, pedophile, and, go out and try to get me fired, promote, me being fired, interfering with work within the club and the business through, our summer camp program and other things, and then just blasting it all on, social media, was somehow still preventing this person from public participation. Well, we all know that was bullshit. And Judge Traber knows that that's bullshit. But again, this kind of comes down to what was the judge said, well, but you were late filing your response, okay? And actually, in many ways, she's right, and in many ways, she's very wrong. So how could she be both? Well, because unbeknownst to probably 99.99% of all non-attorneys, and even quite a few attorneys, to be honest with you, you have a 9 days before the hearing set to have turned it in. And I turned mine in, I think, 6 days before, okay? And they had a chance to respond. In fact, they responded like 4 or 5 times to different things. And so they weren't really encumbered by this at all. In fact, that was one of the points I made. And the other big thing is that you can't use something like that in really any case, but especially representing a pro per, because as Judge Traber correctly but also incorrectly stated, is that she doesn't have to treat me any different because I'm pro per. Well, agreed. I mean, but you certainly can't treat me worse. And that's actually what she did, because I said, well, you have all my stuff. I turned in over 70, 80 pages worth of documentation that proves, hey, this is what happened, this is what she said, all this stuff. But instead, she kind of used that rule where, hey, you know what, you only turned it in 6 days before, so I'm not going to go with it. She then proceeded to, actually, shockingly, lie in court. She said she authored that tentative, and I told her I have proof that she didn't. Of course, she didn't want to take it, and because she knew she was burnt. And how I find this shit out isn't anything that's it's all perfectly above board legal. I'd be more than happy to show it to her, but she didn't want to see it because she knew it was devastating, and it is. What's happening a lot is judges are lazy as fuck, and they don't like this kind of shit going out there, and I don't give a fuck. But the reality of it is nobody can ever be expected to see justice as long as it's being perverted by those who are attorneys and judges. So, well, who's doing it? Well, in many of the cases, it's the party that would be represented by an attorney, and in this case, again, it'd be the defendant, and it'd be Alex Herrera or Matthew Bredin, who both are working together on this because they're with Marco Gonzalez, and, when he got his little feelings hurt, like the little bitch that he is, he then filed a lawsuit, which actually should have been filed, which should have had a SLAPP lawsuit filed against it immediately. So, obviously we'll be talking to the insurance companies on why that wasn't done, because clearly after watching the video of this guy act like a complete and total fucking buffoon, that would have been ideal situation. But these judges pretend like they don't know Bredin, who's the secretary of the San Fernando Valley Bar Association, and he's got some pull, works for a fairly, actually good law firm, and they meet, they go to these galas and dinners and all this other shit. So bottom line, though, in this case is what really happens and what really goes on is that you're going to see, and it's unfortunate, is that there's, tyranny throughout the court system. Now, regardless of what side you stand on, like me or don't like me, I don't really give a fuck. If you're watching this, you obviously thought something of it, or of me. And those of you that are, whether you like me or not, the good news is you're going to benefit from what I'm telling you, because believe me, it's going to happen. I mean, hopefully not, but it's going to happen to you or somebody you know. And you can be assured that this is how tyranny begins. And it brings me, of course, no joy in having to say that, but it also should give you guys an idea of how important it is for a lot of these fakers to pretend to be something out in the public world, right? Because so long as they can, so long as they give money to the sheriff's department, so long as they, pretend to give a shit about the firefighters and all that stuff, and they put on a good facade, you could then believe, wow, these are really good people. But the reality of it is, in many ways, shapes, and forms, they would be good people. They are, I mean, by most measures, sure. But you're also measured by what you do that's corrupt, and what you do that is insincere, and what you do to somebody who may be doing the right thing, but it doesn't benefit you, okay? So there's a lot of people who have done the right thing and maybe it didn't benefit me. This wouldn't be one of them, of course, because it's not the right thing. It's lying, it's bullshit, it's taking full advantage of the court system. And there's books and articles and, judges who actually will recognize that this is going on, and they do. And in fact, it's specifically why Judge Traber doesn't really have a case if she's dumb enough to issue the order, because cases that are brought to court are, no matter if you're an attorney or you're pro per, to be decided by the merits. That's the highest, however you want to say it, that's the minimum pretty much requirement, unless somebody's just abusing the shit out of a process and the courts keep giving them time and time and time. And that didn't happen. The court did give me an extra, she claims, month, but that's complete and total bullshit too, because it had to be in 9 days early. The order was issued on the 15th, so it was like 2 weeks, okay? And quite frankly, when I have like 15 different lawsuits and in appellate court, helping out a federal court and all this other shit, and I'm all by myself, and not earning any income and then having to, pay, the problem is twofold, actually, because now that apparently this order is going to be given that they won this SLAPP lawsuit, I've got to pay the attorney's fees of this, dumb piece of shit named Alex Herrera, who, has, will inflate his numbers to think that he's actually going to get paid that, or he'll actually even see a dime. But the reality of it is, that's what makes it really, really bad. And that's what really is what SLAPP or anti-SLAPP really is. It should be that. It's the actual opposite thing. So put this into perspective. Somebody's out there calling a father of three, a, husband and of my beautiful bride of 21 plus years. We've been together over 23 years. Out there publicly defaming me, calling me a child pervert, a pedophile, member of the Stasi, infatuation with her, and that I wanted her shot dead, and making these terroristic threats. And all of a sudden, she became the victim, right? Because this is how our court system works. And this is how that the courts have been working their corrupt ways. Now, listen, there's no doubt that there's, someone will say, well, you know what, there's, he's talking about this online, blah, 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 there's going to be some repercussion. Fuck you. I really don't even give a shit about that. The reality of it is, it's worth you guys knowing what's happening. This isn't, more of an informational, be aware type thing to the public, right? Which they'll try to silence by, whatever bullshit means they'll try to do it by. And hey, listen, they may even succeed. But again, that's not the point. I'm not going to not express my feelings and my opinions based on this court decision to you guys, because it's going to be, kind of an eye-opening experience for many, as it has been for me. So, I'm not obviously going to just take it, but I'm also going to make sure that that people know, and just be aware of that. Like I said, if you're still watching and you don't like, hey, whatever it is that you wrongly think I've done, because I don't know anybody who's actually knows what that I've done that would think that way. But remember, we'll be you, and or someone hopefully not, and you really won't be able to do much about it, because the money it's going to cost to try to appeal it and to file it. You got to hire an attorney in most cases, and I'm not, but some people don't have the luxury of being able to hire an attorney, or have the luxury to spend all freaking day and night, figuring out case law and putting together their own motions, and, to get this to a point where you can recover your good name. So keep that in mind, and that's it. So you guys take good care of yourself, and hopefully get a chance to see you soon. Thanks.